Kate Baldwin is here. She's watching one of the sports stories, Kate, that everyone in the country seems to be talking about.
Everyone's talking about that, is except for the football star himself, Manti Te'o. Absolutely, he is silent so far on this very, I mean, the only thing we can call it is a bizarre mystery at this point surrounding his alleged dead girlfriend, a woman we now know never existed. The school says he was the victim of an elaborate hoax. He calls it a sick joke. But many are wondering if there's more to the story. CNN's Ted Rollins is in South Bend, Indiana, home to Notre Dame, of course. Ted, what are you picking up there? It's hard to even sum up where this story has taken us.
Yeah, and the next step is Manti Te'o coming out and giving his side of the story. There was a lot of anticipation, Kate, that would happen sometime today, but so far it hasn't. This Twitter photo is Manti Te'o at the IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida, where he's training for the NFL draft and likely also taking refuge. Pressure continues to mount for Te'o to explain the inconsistencies between the very public love story of his fake girlfriend and the statement claiming he'd never actually met her. During the football season, the story of the star linebacker enduring the death of his girlfriend and grandmother on the same day transcended sports. People from around the world were touched by how in love Te'o seemed to be with Lene Kukua, the girl he called his soulmate.
I cried, I yelled. I never felt that way before. This is 6 hours ago. I just found out Grandma passed away, and you take, the love of my life.
On the day of his girlfriend's supposed funeral, Te'o played football, and after the game, Notre Dame's football coach Brian Kelly actually awarded the game ball to the girl we now know doesn't exist.
I want to award this game ball to Lene, and I'd like Manti to have this ball to take back to Hawaii.
I'm as confused as I think a lot of people are right now.
Sports reporter Eric Hansen has spent the last 4 years writing about Manti Te'o for the South Bend Tribune. In October, he wrote this article detailing the couple's first meeting after a football game against Stanford.
Well, I would think if there was a mistake in the story, they would have brought it to my attention.
The story has romantic details of Te'o and his fictitious girlfriend catching each other's eye and making a connection. Hansen says he got the story from Te'o's father. He still has a recording of the interview.
Maybe Manti, being an online relationship, was maybe a little embarrassed and embellished the story to his father a little bit, and his father was telling what Manti had told him.
He allowed us to listen to the recording, but won't allow us to broadcast it. Clearly, the father thinks his son met his girlfriend face-to-face in 2009 and spent considerable time with her face-to-face after that.
I want to give them the benefit of the doubt at this point, and I want to hear from them before I form the last picture on this.
A lot of people would like to talk to Manti Te'o. At one point today, Kate, ESPN tweeted out that they were ready to sit down for an interview. A few hours later, they tweeted that the interview had been canceled.
I know this is just sad all around. I'm just not quite sure yet who it is sad for. I think we need some more information before we can decide all of that. Ted Rollins in South Bend for us. Thanks so much, Ted. Much more on this story coming up. We're learning a little bit more about who may be behind the hoax, and we'll dig deeper into the phenomenon of creating fake online personas known as catfishing. I still don't understand that name, though.
We're going to find out a lot more about that. All right, let's get a little bit more right now on the alleged hoax and the mystery surrounding the Notre Dame football star Manti Te'o.
The university says he's the victim of an online phenomenon in which someone creates a fake social media profile. Listen here.
I would refer all of you, if you're not already familiar with it, with both the documentary called Catfish, the MTV show, which is a derivative of that documentary, and the sort of associated things you'll find online and otherwise about catfish or catfishing.
All right, let's get some more right now with the executive producer of MTV's Catfish, Ariel Schulman, is joining us. Ariel, thanks very much for coming in. First of all, explain to our viewers what catfishing is, what Catfish is all about, how you got this name.
I mean, it's amazing to me that it's becoming such a used term at this point. It didn't mean anything before the documentary. There's a character who uses it in reference to an old parable about codfish being transported around the world in vats and going stale. And at some point, someone realized if they put catfish in the vat, the catfish would chase the cod around and keep them agile and moist, and they would sort of taste better. So he was making a reference to people and how there are certain people like catfish. The character in the documentary, which we titled Catfish, was that catfish, and it's become basically synonymous with internet deception. It's basically someone that creates a fake profile.
Your brother was the subject, was the victim in this documentary that you're talking about, and you document in your movie and now on your show as victims as others that are victims on your MTV show. So how common have you found catfishing has become? It seems, honestly, before this, I had never heard of it.
It's shockingly prevalent. When it happened to my brother, that was the first time I'd ever heard of it in terms of wholesale identity deception. I mean, she had created 15 different profiles. He had fallen in love with one of them and had interactions with 14 others, all very deep and personal relationships. As soon as the movie came out, he started getting an influx of hundreds of emails a day, thousands after a year, from other kids, from other people around the world who had experienced the exact same thing. And that's when we started developing the TV show. And casting it has been a lot easier than you'd think. I mean, it's happening all over the place.
I know your brother's been trying to investigate a little bit what happened in this particular case. He's been speaking to some of the players involved. What can you share with us?
Well, it turns out, Wolf, that a couple of the players in the Manti situation had actually reached out to him through his Catfish Neve Gmail account a couple months ago. And it sort of got buried, and he didn't notice it until now, and he's looking back, and he realizes that a couple people that the Lene character had also, it wasn't just Manti, she'd been catfishing a couple other guys. One of those guys had grown suspicious and had tried to call her out on it and had sought my brother's help in getting to the bottom of it, because that's sort of what he does best right now. And so he finally reached out to that guy, and they've started to sort of retrace her steps, or whoever Lene really is, and found a few other characters involved in the saga.
So in all of your research, have you found that there is a certain type of person that's susceptible to becoming a victim of a scam like this? I mean, does Manti Te'o, from what you know of him, fit that type?
You know, it's funny. There is a certain type, and Manti, based on what the athletic director from Notre Dame was saying about him, he kind of reminds me of my brother. Yeah, he could date someone in real life. I mean, this guy's a football superstar. My brother's a New York guy. He's pretty good looking. He could ask someone out, but he's so naive and sort of a hopeless romantic and an optimist that if the right girl attracts him, there's something sort of beautiful and innocent about it being online and not being face-to-face. You can sort of be someone else and sort of start from scratch. And it seems like this guy Manti has a really big heart and was just sort of looking for love. And
may have been naive, if you will, if you believe his side of the story, at least what he told officials at Notre Dame University. But I just want you to elaborate, if you can. You say your brother's been corresponding now with at least one individual who may have been involved in this catfish operation?
Yeah, I don't have the specifics. Hopefully we'll get him from Neve a little later. I hope you get to talk to him. There's a guy named JR who was, I guess, friends online with Lene. And he says that one of his friends was looking to date her, and every time they tried to meet up, she would suddenly pull out at the last second, which is a classic sort of catfish maneuver. There would be a car accident or an illness or something happened at home, and instead of her showing up, someone else kept showing up in her place, and that someone else was the Renai character. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. And so he started growing suspicious that he could never meet Lene, yet this other guy kept showing up. So I think he publicly tweeted, and you could probably find this on this guy RJ's feed, that he sort of made one of the early accusations that Lene wasn't fake, and instantly he was dealing with a whole like suicide threat scandal. I mean, it gets really complicated, and to try to describe this stuff is impossible, Wolf.
You know, and it's very bizarre and intriguing because of the timeline that is coming out, and we're getting all these inconsistencies. For example, Notre Dame, the athletic director, said last night that Te'o received a phone call on December 6th from the woman saying it was his girlfriend, that she was alive, it was a hoax. But 2 days later, he said this, and I'll play it.
I really got, hit with cancer. I mean, I don't like cancer at all. Cancer, I lost both my grandparents and my girlfriend to cancer.
Says he lost his grandparents. I lost my girlfriend to cancer. So what do you think about these allegations, are these suggestions that Te'o may have been involved in all of this, may have obviously known a lot more than he apparently let on?
I understand, because it's so bizarre, and those were the same sort of accusations that we faced after the documentary came out. The world hadn't really seen a scandal like this. I mean, we've seen deception, we've seen huge business CEOs faking law degrees, but we've never seen wholesale identity deception on a public scale until this. But we'd seen it with my brother, and a lot of people didn't believe it. But once you go into the timeline and you talk to the guy, whether it's Manti or my brother, you emotionally understand that he wanted to believe. And when you want to fall in love, when you want it to be real, you're willing to ignore so many red flags. And my heart kind of goes out to him. I'm on his side. I really think that he's innocent, and that he was deceived.
Ariel Schulman is the executive producer of MTV's Catfish. Ariel, we'll stay obviously in close touch with you. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
We will have more on this ahead, and we'll hear from a writer from Deadspin.com, which first broke this story, as we dig deeper into the growing mystery, as you can see, surrounding Manti Te'o.